Amid the steady rhythm of heartbeats and the constant click-clack of ping-pong balls echoing through a quiet gym, there was a girl who chose to walk silently but never insignificantly. Welcome to Ping Pong Dreams, where every match is not just a contest, but a chapter written in sweat, tears, and unyielding belief. Today, we dive into a deeply emotional journey, the story of Hina Hayata, a warrior who doesn't need the spotlight to shine, who doesn't need applause to move forward, but who only needs a heart to live and to play table tennis. Imagine a rainy, humid afternoon in Osaka in 2004. Inside a small training hall, where wooden floors creak beneath every step, a 4-year-old girl with tangled hair struggles to swing a wooden paddle bigger than her own arm. The ball rolls off the table, bouncing randomly across the floor. No one pays attention to her. She doesn't look like a prodigy, has no exceptional technique. Nothing stands out about her among the other children. And when the coach bluntly tells her mother she's left-handed and slow, her body's clumsy, she's not cut out for table tennis, the mother simply smiles and replies, "She doesn't need to be good today. If she loves it enough, she'll find a way." That love, fragile like a tiny flame in the rain, never went out. Hina began training every day, not for medals, not to stand on a podium, but because of a feeling she couldn't quite name. Before the sun rose, while her friends were still asleep, she was already in the training hall. She repeated the same motions, the same strokes, the same footwork, tirelessly transforming a body once considered awkward into something fluid and graceful on the court. She came home with scraped knees, trembling arms, and sometimes tears, all kept quietly to herself. Many times she asked herself, "Do I really belong here?" She would gaze at the old paddle her mother gave her, as if searching for the answer. But she always remembered her mother's eyes, calm, steady, always there in the background, never pressuring, only gently encouraging. That silent love became the wind that kept her tiny flame alive through the years. Not everyone understood her choice to stay. It's hard to explain what it means to love something deeply when the world tells you that you're not meant for it. Most children would walk away after being told they're not good enough. But Hina stayed, not because anyone told her to, but because something in her heart refused to let go. She didn't start as a genius. She didn't have dazzling speed, lightning-fast reflexes, or crowd-stirring charisma. She had scraped knees, an unpolished style, and quiet determination. And that was enough. Slowly, that girl who once trailed behind others began to find her own rhythm. She didn't try to be faster than everyone else. She tried to be better than yesterday. That was her only goal, and that made all the difference. In Japan, table tennis is more than just a sport. It is pride. It is where warriors, carrying the samurai spirit, stand up to challenge the world. In the 2000s, while Ai Fukuhara shone with her bright smile and emotional play, and Mima Ito became a phenomenon with her creative, explosive style, Hina remained just the tall, slow, left-handed girl, never the one people expected greatness from. But time proved that a seed that sprouts slowly can still grow tall. In middle school, what was once considered her weakness, her height, became an advantage. She learned to use her long reach, created wider angles, and developed a devastating backhand topspin. Hina didn't copy anyone. She chose her own path, slow, steady, calm like still water, and that very calmness often disrupted her opponents. A coach once said, Hina doesn't play to win the point immediately. She plays to make her opponent lose. And perhaps that's why every match of hers is a psychological battle, a quiet, relentless melody that slowly reaches the hearts of those watching. In 2016, Hina won her first national youth title, but her name always came with a caveat, behind Mima Ito. Not out of malice, but because Mima was too iconic. Hina never protested. She kept training, quietly, like a clock that never stops ticking. In 2017, at age 17, she was called up to the national team for the World Championships, but only as a reserve. She watched from the sidelines, swallowing her desire to fight, but deep in her eyes was a silent vow. One day, I won't be standing behind anymore. That same year, she suffered a loss more painful than any match. Her mother, the companion of her entire journey, fell seriously ill. Between travel and training, Hina snatched every hour she could to care for her. When her mother passed away, Hina had just won a women's doubles gold at an international event. On the podium, her eyes were hollow. Since that day, she has always worn a necklace engraved with the word mama, never taking it off, not even in matches. Every stroke, she once said, is for her. That pain did not break her. It became part of her, a thread tying her to the past and to belief. After the Tokyo 2021 Olympics, where she was again a reserve, things began to change. Kasumi Ishikawa retired, Miyu Hirano was injured, Mima Ito took a long break. And suddenly, there was a gap no one expected Hina to fill. No big announcement, no fanfare, she stepped up on her own feet. At the national championships, she did the unthinkable. She won all three events, women's singles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles, a feat no one had achieved since Ai Fukuhara. But when asked if she was carrying on someone's legacy, she simply replied, "I'm not following anyone, I'm walking my own path." That path led her to the most daunting stage of all, against the table tennis giants of China. But Hina did not flinch. At the WTT Champions 2023, she defeated Wang Yidi in a match that lasted over an hour. No screaming, no jumping, just a clenched fist and a bow. At the Asian Championships the same year, she beat Chen Xingtong and nearly toppled Chen Meng. Even Chinese media admitted, this girl will not go down easily. Hina's strength isn't just in her technique, it's in her sincerity. Her heart is always on display whenever she steps on court. She once confessed, "The hardest part is knowing that every time I play, I can't hide my heart." And perhaps that vulnerability is exactly what makes her unbreakable. In a sporting world growing colder and more mechanical, she still plays like a living symphony of emotions. She doesn't look for shortcuts. She doesn't chase after trends. She stays true to what she believes. There's something timeless in that, something rare. There's a moment people often forget. A rainy night in Tokyo. Everyone else had gone home. A janitor was locking up when he heard the familiar tap-tap of a ball. He opened the door to the training room and saw Hina alone, dripping with sweat, practicing the same motion over and over again. No coach, no cameras, just her and the table. "Why are you still here?" he asked, and she smiled and said, "Because I still want to get better." That's who she is. And in the silence before Paris 2024, she has gone even quieter. No live streams, no press, just the sound of bouncing balls, quiet breathing, and the whisper of sneakers on wood. She doesn't want to be seen preparing, she wants to be ready. She's not training to impress. She's training to feel worthy of the game, of her mother, of that little girl who once swung a paddle too big for her hand. In the end, Hina Hayata may or may not win Olympic gold, but that was never the point. The point was that she stayed when no one believed and no one asked her to. She stayed, she worked, she loved, and in doing so, she became unforgettable. Because in a world that worships noise, she chose silence. In a world chasing victory, she chose truth. In a world obsessed with being seen, she chose heart. And that is why, even without medals, even without fame, Hina Hayata is already a legend. And if you've ever loved something so deeply that you couldn't let go, even when the world turned its back, then maybe, just maybe, you understand Hina. And maybe you'll see a piece of yourself reflected in those quiet yet determined eyes. And in the next chapter of Ping Pong Dreams, we enter a storm of pressure, legacy, and impossible expectations. We meet a man born under the shadow of a titan, Fan Zhendong, the warrior burdened with the weight of a nation, the one who must become a legend while the legends before him still stand tall. What does it mean to chase greatness in a system that demands perfection? That is the question, and that is the journey ahead.